looking to see how that plays out. My educated guess would be they go with Bridgewater another year as a starter. Then you got the Buccaneers who've got to make a decision as to where they're going to go. But as of right now, the belief has to be they're going to take a quarterback with that first pick, unless something changes, and then you're left with the Rams.
So let me talk off the cuff without really thinking this all the way through, because I like to do that sometimes. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah,
sure you do.
I like to throw hypotheticals out, regardless of how realistic they are.
Yeah.
Philadelphia making a play for Griffin.
They could. I mean, they could, but I'm not so sure how Chip Kelly feels about him. I would think he would want Griffin to run his system. So, having said that, I would say the Eagles would not go for him.
Okay.
He'd have to find a place on a team that feels they could still incorporate part of his running game into the offense.
I think
because I don't think he'll stand still, to be brutally honest with you.
I think Kelly's offense, if he had a quarterback like Griffin, would resemble a little bit more of what he ran at Oregon.
Okay. But I mean, his offense here in the pros hasn't resembled exactly what he ran in Oregon.
No.
In other words, you don't see a scrambling quarterback.
Correct. It's not so much zone read, but I think that has more to do with Foles than anything else. It's been all Shady McCoy as far as running the ball.
I mean, you look at a quarterback like Russell Wilson when he runs the read option. He's either surrounded with a better cast of characters to run it, or he's more judicious and just smarter at choosing when to run and when not to run. Mm-hmm. Because he's been successful in that system now since he's been a rookie, so 3 years. And you haven't seen that from Colin Kaepernick. He was successful when he was first given the opportunity to be the full-time starter. Now, it seems several aspects of his game have suffered. Whether you want to blame the offensive scheme, whether you want to blame the talent that's surrounding him, that's your choice. When it comes to Robert Griffin III, after his rookie season, he's done nothing.
Right.
And, I mean, at the end of the day, you could sit there and criticize their offensive line, say what you will, but at the end of the day, he's the quarterback, and he's had problems.
There's definite issues there. You know what I mean? The like you said, the only thing he's got going for him is the fact that he had such a good rookie year. But then you had the injury, and then you had the hurrying back from the injury, and then he plays the blame game with Washington as to who was pushing him to be out there, whether he was ready or not. And then you had last year, which was just an abomination. We saw Colt McCoy actually be serviceable. So he at this point, he would be a project to any offense. It's a matter of whether that team believes they can salvage anything out of him. I'm looking right now at the free agents by team, and who's got some decisions to make? The Dallas Cowboys.
They do.
I mean, you got the obvious one, Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray. But, I mean, there are, players like Doug Free that's unrestricted. Rolando McClain is unrestricted. Henry Melton is unrestricted. George Selvey's unrestricted. Anthony Spencer's unrestricted. How much money you got to go around, I guess I'm going to go to Over the Cap right now and find out. Dallas Cowboys salary cap, Over the Cap. Let's see, where are they? Doobie-doo.
Out of the players that you've mentioned, besides DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant, I mean, I think one of the players for them to seriously consider bringing back is Rolando McClain.
I would agree.
Now, the rest of them, I think you can let them go, either because of the money that they're going to pay them, or because, or actually ask them to restructure. For example, Doug Free could return on a restructured contract, which is the way I think that will go. But the rest of them, they're replaceable, and there's going to be plenty of free agents out there. The free agents seem to be a little bit stronger when you look at the non-skilled positions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dallas can find what they want. Now, in terms of the cap, I believe they have a little bit of work to do.
It all depends on what the cap finally settles in at.
Well, I think they're talking about $140 million.
So if you take everybody that's under contract right now, they're at $137 million. That's their cap number for 2015.
Okay, so but they're going to be able to free up some cap space. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, you got some decisions to make.
Yeah, I don't see Henry Melton coming back. Not at his 9.25 cap number.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's just not going to happen. I think Jason Witten, there's a guy that they could probably go to and restructure him at $8.5 million. I mean, he's just not he isn't being used like the tight end that he used to be.
Oh, how old is he now?
He's getting up there. For the life of me, let me see if I can find that out for you real quick. 32.
32. So, and he playing tight end, you're going over the middle, you're getting banged around and killed, basically.
Maybe the Falcons will look at picking him up if they could.
Yeah, to be the new Tony Gonzalez.
That's right.
God, you know what? You bring them up, and I think that's who I'm going to do next for my next off-season colonoscopy, because that team is an enigma. You look at that team on paper, there is absolutely no reason why they should have been as bad as they were this past season. I just don't see it. Everybody was for the most part healthy. They had some banged up injuries on the defensive side, if I remember correctly. But you look at, and they're unrestricted free agents for this offseason. Croy Bierman, Matt Bryant. I'm just going to name off the ones I think are important. Jaquiz Rogers, they got to make a decision on him. Anton Smith. OCU Minora, I don't know how much he really figures in anymore. Sean Weatherspoon. That's pretty much it. So there's really nobody that they would worry about losing in free agency, I don't think, on that list. So you got a new coach. You got Dan Quinn coming over from Seattle. The hot name. Can he resurrect the Legion of Boom with the Atlanta Falcons defense that last year was in the bottom fourth of the NFL?
Yeah, the Falcons' defense was pretty bad. Their secondary is probably decent enough. It's that front seven that they're going to need to replace.
It's funny that you say that. They were the fourth worst rated pass coverage team at Pro Football Focus.
But it's because of that front seven.
Yeah, they just get torched.
I think if you actually look at some of the numbers, they did a great job keeping out. Like they might have given up a bunch of yards, but in terms of pass touchdowns, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, they were the fourth worst rated pass rush unit as well.
Yeah, if they could turn that defense around, this would be a completely different Falcons team in terms of what kind of product we saw on the field.
And more so, I mean,
and they have some cap space. They're at about $120 million right now. So right now they've got $20 million.
Not to beat on the cliche of it being a passing league and all that stuff, but they, as teams use more and more, like the fullback is pretty much dead in pro football, right? You agree with that statement?
For the most part, I mean, there's probably 7 to 10 teams that still use a fullback.
Yeah.
And really, I personally think that it's a great position to have if you want to run the football. You should have one.
I personally agree with that, but it just seems that it's going away. A lot more teams are going to 11 personnel, thin sets. So if teams are going to run those kind of formations, the ability to pressure the quarterback with only rushing your linemen becomes more and more imperative. And I think back to our beloved Chicago Bears and their inability to do that, which creates so many other problems on defense. And if you can't rush the passer and blitz minimally, then you're making your life really, really hard on yourself. And if I'm Dan Quinn, that's my first order of business is to figure out a way of whether I've got enough talent on this team to do it now, or whether we've got to go make some moves. Because if we can't rush the passer, then it's not going to matter who the hell we got in the secondary.
I agree with you. I think it'll be at the top of their wish list once free agency begins and as they approach the draft.
Yeah, so it'd be very. I'm at the point now where I just want people to start signing people. I just want to know where everybody's going. Just do something. Somebody do something. Make a trade. Do something.
Well, I mean, it's sort of the bad part of this part of the season is I think some people are taking some time off. It's been pretty intense for most. And if you're coming off the Super Bowl, if you're going back to work, my guess is that it's probably going to be next week will be a full go.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of what we got to deal with for right now.
We talked about Robert Griffin III for a little while, but if they let him go, or if somebody makes a deal for them, then you have to make a decision on Kirk Cousins, Colt McCoy, or somebody else. And that team could be. This is, I think, a conundrum almost to the level that the Bears have with Jay Cutler, is that the guy that you have may not be the guy to do it for you, but the alternative could be so much worse. That's just my take on it, because there's no clear. The list of free agent quarterbacks is not all that exciting, unless you're going to take a chance on a Sam Bradford, but he's shown absolutely no ability to stay healthy.
Now Griffin, in terms of cap money, he's a $6.7 million hit, which isn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason for them to hang on to him and to avoid addressing the quarterback position this season.
And they only have $132 million in committed cap money right now, so they've got some room to maybe do something in free agency.
Oh, they're going to probably have to. I mean, they're going to need to cut some players, that's for sure. But they should be able to. There's a lot of dead weight on this roster.
Yeah. Barry Cofield, his cap figure is $7.6 million. Really?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the list. I love this site, overthecap.com.
Me too. How about Andre Roberts? He's one of the top guys in terms of money that they owe. And, in terms of a contributor, he shouldn't be one of the top guys in terms of money that they owe.
I love Tracy Porter. You know who Tracy Porter is? He's the new Dexter Jackson.
There you go.
He makes a big play in the Super Bowl, rides it to a big, fat contract, and then does nothing. Nothing of consequence.
You're a tough cookie, you know that?
I am. I can be. I admit that. Especially if I get in a mood, a certain mood. And
we don't want you in the mood.
No, nobody can do nothing to please me. But let's take a quick break and let's reset and refresh our brains. Just a quick 3-minute 46-second break, and we'll come back. We'll talk more NFL offseason. You're listening to 87 Sports Fans live on Late Night Sports Radio.
Down next to mine.